And hello everybody and welcome here to this week's edition of NASCAR Talk. We are getting ready to talk about Talladega, everybody. Let's get excited! Wow,
Nah.
that actually impressed me. I thought it was going to be like a really boring hype. Anyway,
Yay!
so it's Talladega Superspeedway, one of the two restricted plate tracks that NASCAR goes to. We got the Xfinity Series today at 3. I don't know if this video is necessarily going to be uploaded before 3 o'clock or not. I'll try to. And then, of course, we got the Sprint Cup Series race tomorrow at 1 o'clock. What can we expect to see here from Talladega this season? Because, you know, everybody looks forward to Daytona.
Wasn't it cool to see Dale Jr. win the nationwide or the Xfinity race today?
Wait, what? Yeah. Yeah. Spoiler alert.
Wait. Earnhardt's not racing, I think.
No,
he's not racing.
No.
Casey Kane is.
Yep. But anyway, I mean, Talladega, everybody seems to look forward to Daytona. They always look forward to Talladega. And Talladega race last season, they were actually really good and everything. Are we expecting the same Talladega race, or is it going to be a little bit different this year?
I'm hoping that we have a good Talladega race. I'm hoping that NASCAR doesn't decide to do any BS and throw a caution with on the white flag. But
okay. Well, anyways, maybe they won't. Maybe the 13 people will leave a tire in the middle of the track this time in the Xfinity race.
I know, it actually surprises me to hear of how you thought last year's Talladega races were pretty good. In my opinion, I feel like, to me, like in the past 2 years, I think other than the race in the past 2 years, 2013, 2014, with the exception of the race that David Riggin won, I feel like Talladega has kind of been like missing something for me, and maybe it's the big one. I feel like the big ones in the past 3 years have not been as maybe like legendary or memorable in my opinion, and
I don't know. Think about it this year though. For the Daytona 500, all that three wide racing, like 20 rows deep. Yeah, I think we can see that again. What if they did like in 2012 and they raced all 4 wide?
I'd love to see like a redo. I don't know if the cars are capable now with the way they've adjusted them so much, but I would love to see a remake of the 2012 Talladega race where they were 4 wide, like 6 rows deep. That was like one of the most exciting Dega races, because the fact was not only were they doing it, but they were holding it until out of what was it? Did they wreck out of turn 3?
No, they wrecked
into turn number 3.
Yeah. It was like turn 3 all the way out of the exit of turn 4. I mean, that was an exciting race, and I would love to see them be able to do something like that again. But I don't know now with the way that they've changed the car so much if they're going to be able to do that. But still, I mean,
I hope they repeat 2012 where they're racing 4 wide, 6 rows deep, and Tony Stewart wrecks the field.
Yeah, let's not even go into that because he wrecked Casey Mears.
A race that Michael Waltrip or
You mean he wrecked that Waltrip?
Yeah, well, Mears was behind him, so I count that as Tony Stewart wrecking Casey Mears too. So.
It was going to be Michael Waltrip or Casey Mears most likely.
I know! I would have loved to have seen that happen, and Stewart had to put that stupid block.
Who to look out for in the race tomorrow, Tony Stewart?
Yeah, who to stay away from? That 14. At least if you're Casey Mears, stay away from that 14, because whether it's Tony Stewart driving it or Austin Dillon driving it, it always targets the Geico car.
No, what happens?
Oh, he got insurance, that's why.
Yeah, right?
Tony Stewart pushes
I was
pushes
one of the last run of series.
Alright, so anyway, talking here about Talladega, let's look back 1 week to the race at Richmond. Thoughts on that race? Was it a good race? Was it a bad race?
It was good. I was pulling for Kurt the whole time.
Boring.
I think
I feel
for Richmond, it was okay, but it's very difficult to have a really exciting race at Richmond, so.
The best
I
part
feel
about
like
it was
last fall, this race was an improvement.
Right, yeah.
Second 50 laps was pretty cool.
Yeah, the second 50 laps were cool, and the whole deal with Dale Jr. and Tony Stewart getting into it, in all honesty, those are two drivers I never really thought would actually be at odds with each other, but it's happened.
I don't really understand why that's so controversial, though.
I don't either. I don't understand because, you know, you look at the replay over and over, Stewart clearly came up into Junior, and Junior couldn't do anything because he had Allgaier to his high side. It was a racing deal. I don't know why the tempers really are flaring over something like that.
No clue, though, really.
Well, the last week's race was full of surprises.
I mean, I know that Tony Stewart is frustrated. His
Yeah,
season's
30
not been going
points.
good.
30 points, that's why he's smoke coming out of his ears.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think they said it's been his worst start ever
His career.
in his career in Sprint Cup. And I mean, I understand the frustration, but you know, I just don't see going off on an incident like that when you know, there's so many other scenarios where you could end up getting upset that would be much worse than that.
When you're having a struggling season, and you know he is now 30th in points and almost dropping out of 36th in owner points, I can understand, but it was pretty hilarious to see him chuck his helmet after the race.
Chuck the helmet and the Hans device into the hauler.
That was awesome.
So Kurt Busch, now with his win, he's in the chase. We got, I guess we could say, pretty much the drivers that are right now locked into the chase. It's not really much of a surprise, but Kurt Busch, how much of an impact do you think he's going to make when the chase begins?
Hopefully NASCAR doesn't throw another debris caution to cost him a win again.
Yeah, right.
I know, right? Actually, how consistent he hit the entire season. Remember, his worst race finish since he started was 15th. I think it was 15th at Bristol.
Yeah.
So he's been consistent since he returned from, I won't say incident, but I call it incident anyway. Everybody knows why he's out for a while.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Mrs. You Know Who. But as long as he's been consistent throughout the 26 race season, he'd be forced to reckon with. Him and Kevin Harvick might be battle for a championship, maybe. Look at those two cars are very eerie similar. You see how they both run in Richmond though? 1-2. Ooh.
So what do you guys think of Chase Elliott's performance last week? Because he finished 16th or something.
Yeah,
Pretty
finished
solid.
16th.
Pretty solid. I felt like Richmond was going to be a better race for Chase Elliott compared to Martinsville, just because not only has he raced there in the Xfinity Series, he has top 5 finishes. I think he got top 5 finishes in the Xfinity race the night, like 2 days before, but also top 5s in the 2 races last year. So I had a feeling Chase Elliott would do good, and I think he was actually, I don't know if he ever got into the top 10, but the thing is, he was like battling for like 10th place at one point.
I think he got up to 9th at one point, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, but he at least Brett Moffitt didn't break him.
Yeah. But no, I was impressed with him too. I mean, in all honesty, if you look at Richmond, you look at Martinsville, I mean, the Xfinity Series never goes to Martinsville. So, you know, he had nope. Yeah, I know he used to, but not when Chase Elliott was in the series. So, I mean, he had no prior experience at Martinsville.
I think Nationwide went to Martinsville for a year. They tried it one time.
2006.
The last time Dale Waltrip ran the energy machine with the Flames 99. That was the last time they ran there.
Yeah, and so, I mean, he had run the Richmond race that night before, so I wasn't surprised to really see Chase Elliott do good at Richmond.
The funny part about Darrell Waltrip in that race, he's actually running the top 5 until some guy just turned him on the last lap. Finished 29th.
Wow.
Yeah, that race was like a wreck fest. I think it had like, I don't know, maybe like 17 cautions or whatever.
Yeah, like 20, yeah.
The purpose of that race was to, it was kind of a replacement for what was Pikes Peak International Raceway, and then because they couldn't find anything, or I'm assuming that they couldn't find anything, and then the next year Montreal replaced that race.
So I think something we should talk about is that huge crash that guy. I mean, I don't think anybody here follows the ARC series like I do, but that guy almost like died yesterday.
Oh, the wreck in the ARCA series? Yeah, that was a horrific crash.
Brad Smith.
The horrible part about that guy, that's James Hilton's car. It's the best car they had, the best engine they had. It's done. And that guy actually been running.
I didn't get a chance to see the ARCA race because I was out at dinner with my family. But I saw a video of it someone posted from YouTube, and it was really horrendous.
I mean, I saw it on Facebook. I was like, wow.
Yeah.
He's been driving the ARC series since 1988, and I don't think that's. He's been a starting park for most of his career, and he finally got a shot, and then you almost kill yourself.
I don't really know if you really can like blame like very like much because it feels like to me that accident was just kind of like a racing accident. Like for example, like well, Austin himself seemed to have something like the back end get away from him, spin in the tri-oval, comes back on the racetrack, hits Brad Smith. Brad Smith first makes contact with the outside wall, then I guess his throttle is hung or he has no brakes, and then goes into the inside wall. But then goes right before he hits the safer barrier. There was like a little like downhill like vents or whatever. It was either that or the car hit a manhole, and it just simply like launched slightly. It got up in the air and it hit the safer barrier, which I felt like made it worse because I have a feeling that the car might have picked up speed when it went up in the air.
Oh yeah, when they hit it, he actually, if you see the pictures, half the car up to the windshield is in the safer barrier. That was just crazy.
Man.
Yeah, that's really bad. You know you hit hard when you see half the car in the safer barrier.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, definitely on that.
All right, so let's look ahead to Talladega Superspeedway now, and this race is going to be really a track because, you know, whenever we come to a restricted plate track, we consider it kind of a wild card race because it's a chance for just about every driver in the field to have a shot at winning. And so we got different drivers with different scenarios. We got drivers already locked into the chase that, you know, another win would help them as far as bonus points when the chase begins. We have drivers that are just outside of the chase. You know, they are by points wise in the top 16, but a win would lock them in, so they trying to win. And then you got drivers that probably don't have a ghost of a shot of getting in unless they win at a restrictor plate track, which is, of course, the only shot they'd have of being on a level playing field with the bigger drivers, the bigger teams, and they're trying to win. So who do you think we're going to actually see be out in front and win this race? Is it going to be a driver that's already locked into the chase, a driver that is, you know, there in chase contention but hasn't gotten to victory lane yet, or is it going to be one of those underdog drivers that may be able to pull off something like Almirola did last season?
Got to be Dale Jr. or an underdog, I think.
I can't tell you. It's so competitive now. Everybody's a shot. I mean, last year, Travis Waffle in the 33 finished 6th, and everyone's been racing hard. Honestly, I cannot tell you who will win this race.
I feel like
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I feel like I think really ever since he came on the scene, I think Brad Keselowski has kind of become like the new like Dale Earnhardt Jr. in terms of like being like a Pied Piper. He's able to maintain his lead, be able to like block like the whole entire field, such as for example last fall. So I feel like Brad Keselowski could be the driver who could be up front all day long.
Let's just hope Brad doesn't block the field at 6 laps down this year.
Or pull Tony Stewart. Wink, wink.
Yeah.
Me, my opinion, most likely be underdog. To be honest with you, I wouldn't mind seeing some underdogs like McDowell. Is Bobby Labonte racing this weekend?
I think so. Yes.
Yeah.
Bobby Labonte, I wouldn't mind him up front. He was near up front at the 500. So AJ, I might pull Brian Scott into the hat. I wouldn't mind him be up front. Yes, you know he's running at Children's Car this weekend.
Yep.
Out of the strong cars, of course, Goosey, Jeff Gordon, Earnhardt, Smoke, question mark. Definitely Kevin Harvick for sure. I might, even though she's technically in the chase right at the moment, Danica Patrick might be a surprise pick either. So if she wins, she's in. So she had a good season so far. So
Yeah.
if she wins, she's in.
Well,
I don't think she'll be falling out of the top 35 anytime. I don't think she'll be falling out of the top 35 anytime soon.
Yeah. Just as long as her boyfriend will be involved, that's all that matters.
Yeah.
Hey, you never know.
I think we're going to help Penske is they have an alliance with McDowell and Ryan Blaney. So they have
Oh, I think Ryan Blade's running this weekend.
Yeah, he's running the 21, so he could be a contender.
That's
Yeah.
As long as his engine doesn't blow.
Yeah, I mean, 2 starts, 2 engines dying on him. I felt so bad for him about that because I mean it was bad enough at Daytona because he was running up there in the top 20 for most of the day, and then he shows up in his second start and the engine blows again. And I find it interesting too that I think one of the other Penske Fords, was it Keselowski at the 500 that blew up as well?
Yeah, Keselowski blew up on the 500.
But after that, we haven't really seen any engine problems with
McDowell had
the 22. You're right. Yeah, he did. Yep.
McDowell did.
Yep, but now we haven't really seen any engine problems for the 2 or the 22, and yet 21 comes back for another race, and they have an engine problem again.
Well, with technically 4 cars that can really help Gallo out, and Blaney helping those Penske fourth up to the front. Who knows? Maybe they will push their Alliance teammates to a win.
Yeah, it's possible. Because we know McDowell runs well at Daytona, and Ryan Blaney ran well in the 500, so we know they at least can be up there in that lead pack.
Well, hopefully Ryan Blaney doesn't pull what he did in the Xfinity Series last year. I don't remember. He did something stupid last year. He slammed the wall and came back down and took out Jeremy Clement.
Yeah. So with that being said, giving a little bit of an outlook on which kind of pack of drivers to look at possibly win this thing, why don't we jump now to our picks for Talladega? Give me a driver that you think is going to dominate and win, driver that you think could be an underdog driver that we might not necessarily consider but could be a factor, and then a driver that really does not have the Talladega luck as a driver to stay away from that really should not be watched to be expected to get a good finish at Dega. And we'll start with you, Charles.
Oh, me? Okay. So, like I said earlier, I think Brad Keselowski is really... I think he really knows how, at these super speedways, to be able to keep himself at front, I would say, many times. So I feel like, and Keselowski, he also has 3 wins here, which is, I think one of the most wins ever at Talladega. He's one of the few multi-winners at Talladega, showing how hard it is to win at Talladega in general. And he has, and if I count all the drivers that have made more than like 4 or 5 starts to Talladega, he has the second best average finish with a 15.8. For Talladega, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
And then, as far as a dark horse, I just feel like I want to see Michael Waltrip win one last time, because the thing is, I was not watching NASCAR. I was way too young when he won like the 2001 Daytona 500, 2003 Daytona 500, 2002 Pepsi 400, and 2003 back when it was called the EA Sports 500. I was too young and not watching NASCAR. And when he won that 2011 Truck Series race at Daytona, 10 years to the day of his first Sprint Cup Series win, I was so happy. So I always root for Michael Waltrip at these super speedway type of tracks, and I think he could be a surprise. And as far as a driver to stay away from, I'm going to go with Sam Horse Jr. He has a 28.67 place average finisher here out of 6 starts, and overall he's just not been running as good as I originally thought he would be. So that's my driver to stay away from.
All right, let's go to Benjamin.
All right. First, get the bad pick out of the way. The driver to avoid will be, even though some people might hate me for this, Dale Jr. is the first driver to stay away from. Even though A-bots like the pipe of restricted play tracks, Dega has not been the best friend of his of the past few years. So, number 1, avoid him as soon as possible. I know Junior fans gonna hate me when I say that. I'm sorry, but truth be told. The dark horse for me is AJ Allmendinger, the 47 car. He definitely be the dark horse on my pick. And the pick to win the race will be, even though I hate to bring this name up, Joey Logano's gonna win the Talladega race.
All right, so going for the 500 winner to win at Dega. How about you, Michael?
All right. So it's no option, no choice. I don't even have to think about it. The person who's winning at Talladega tomorrow will be Dale Earnhardt Jr. Now, if I had to pick somebody else, an underdog, I guess I'll go with Michael Waltrip, and then someone that completely away from is Tony Stewart.
All right.
That's what happened in 2012.
Right. All right, Steven, who you got?
All right, so my winner, I know it's going to sound superstitious and it's going to be a big shock. I wanted to pick the 38 to win because he's has the same sponsor Reagan won with last year, and Chris Buescher. He has had great finishes in the Xfinity Series, and I think he can do really well and push Gillen into a win. My dark horse, I'm going to pick probably a surprise. I'm going to pick Kevin Harvick. Hasn't been known much at the plate tracks, but I think his 4 cars really fast. And I know everyone in this call is going to hate me, and probably everyone in the comments is, but I picked to stay away from is Jeff Gordon, because he hasn't performed at the plate tracks the last few years, and he hasn't got those finishes. And I don't even think he's won at a plate track since the 2007 Talladega race.
Yes.
Yeah, I think you're right. All right, so for my picks, I'm actually got a couple of shockers as well. My driver to win, surprisingly enough, and I think it's just basically, I mean, I normally, whenever we do these things, I look back at the stats, I look back at the average finishes at these tracks. I'm not even looking at them here. I'm just going based on heart and what I feel is going to happen. I'm going with David Reagan to win the race because this is his last chance in a really good equipment car. Yes, I know Michael Waltrip Racing has good race cars. I know the 55 has finished pretty well with Brad Moffitt in the car, but in all honesty, when you put the 55 on a scale with the 18, there is a slight bit of difference. The Joe Gibbs Racing Toyotas are better, and this is his last opportunity to be in a Joe Gibbs Racing Toyota. I think David Reagan, with the numbers he's got at restricted plate tracks, he's won at Daytona, he's won at Talladega. David Reagan is going to take the opportunity to be able to get the 18 car into victory lane here at Dega to lock himself up a chase spot, regardless of what other rides he's going to be in for the remainder of 2015. And I think that this is the last shot he's got. It's at one of the tracks that he can really do it at, and I think David Reagan is going to be up there at the front, and I think he's going to win this thing. Plus, he's got the fact that Matt Kenseth and Denny Hamlin, they've already been to victory lane, so maybe they'll help push him to the win as a Joe Gibbs Racing teammate for one last race. My dark horse, I'm going to actually go opposite of you, Steven. I think that this is a race that Jeff Gordon really needs to win. Plus, when you look back at the 2012 Talladega race, when the wreck happened, there were only 3 drivers that made it through that big last lap wreck. Matt Kenseth, who won, Jeff Gordon, who finished second, and Kyle Busch, who finished third. Gordon at Talladega does know how to put himself in position to avoid wrecks. Daytona, not as much as we saw in the 500. But he ends up getting in a very good spot when it comes down to the last few laps at the Talladega race. It just really comes down to whether or not drivers are going to work with him or not. And I think now it's a little bit more desperation time for Gordon. He really wants to get a win before 2015 is over, with it being his last season. And I think Talladega could be a place that he could do it, especially with the streak of, mediocre finishes he's had and the setups that really haven't been to his liking in the past few weeks at Richmond. And then at Martinsville, he had a shot, but then he ended up costing himself on pit road. So I think Talladega is a place for him to break out. And then I'm going to agree with Michael on who to stay away from. Tony Stewart, not just because of the bad luck that he's had in the last few races at Talladega, but his mindset is not right for winning a race right now. He is frustrated. He is mentally not in the zone for winning races. And yes, Talladega is a track that he's had past success in, but still, you cannot come into a race as big as Talladega where you have to be mentally thinking each and every lap of where do I have to put my car, who do I have to work with the mindset he's got, of the frustration he's got. He is not mentally right for winning a race. And so Tony Stewart, unless he gets his act turned around here at Dega and he gets his attitude turned around, I don't think you can pick Tony Stewart for the next few weeks because he's just not in the right mindset to win. So that's our expert picks for you guys to be able to put your fantasy team together and everything. And of course, we'll see who ends up coming out with the best picks after the Talladega race tomorrow. Any other top stories we got? Oh, one thing that we got to hit on real quickly that I meant to talk about before we ended up even talking about the whole Talladega thing is, of course, the new qualifying sessions. Not doing the group qualifying anymore. We're doing what they call quickfire qualifying, where it's going to be one car at a time at regularly scheduled intervals.
Oh, they did that before in the Truck Series. I think it'll go fine.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to be interesting, too, because now, a lot of times when we had, the original qualifying sessions, a lot of drivers that normally wouldn't make the show, they had that qualifying setup, and then they would change the car afterwards, but they'd have like this really good qualifying setup. They're going to kind of have to do that again because now they're not going to be able to rely on draft and a group qualifying.
And we won't see Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and Justin Allgaier go home.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
And we,
also,
and we won't see Reed Sorensen wreck the field. Wait, what?
I know, right? Oh, yeah, heads up. I know it's breaking news to some people, maybe not. Sarcasm. GoDaddy is leaving Danica Patrick after this season.
Wait,
Your
what?
thoughts? Danica Patrick losing sponsor. GoDaddy. Bye-bye.
I didn't know about that. When did that happen?
a
2
couple
days
days
ago.
ago.
Oh my
But the
goodness.
thing is, GoDaddy said that it's not because of Danica Patrick's performance. GoDaddy said something like, "We are very proud of Danica Patrick when she's done. We are just simply uh taking it to the next step or whatever. It's not because of Patrick's performances."
Yeah.
Honestly,
Interesting.
I honestly can see the 10 teams shutting down and Kyle Larson taking the 14 next year.
How?
I can,
Lawson's there for still be Chuck Hansen for another year or two, I think.
Yes,
I don't
Larson.
know.
I think Larson's still under contract till 2016, if I'm not mistaken. I might be wrong. It might be to 2017, but I think they said 2016.
That's what the
Anyway,
rumors are.
so-
Hearing. That's why.
And
oh,
is it-
can I go?
Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
I don't know. It's basically, and one of the reactions is like how like so does that mean with GoDaddy gone, does that mean that like Patrick could be like out or whatever? And when I heard that news, I just kind of feel like I think Patrick will get another primary sponsor for next year. She already has other sponsors, like I forget like the tax sponsor she got at Martinsville, but she has like that sponsor.
Yeah.
She also,
Tax Act.
Tax
and
Act,
she also
Aspen,
has-
Dental.
I was about ready to say that. Yeah, Aspen Dental. And so I feel like she will get a sponsor. I don't know. So that's what really I had to say about that. I don't think Patrick is really going to be leaving. I will actually be shocked if she's leaving. Not because I'm like the hugest Patrick fan in the world. I definitely support Patrick, and I'm not like one of those like haters out there. I just feel like that to me, I think Patrick will be fine.
Right.
Well, if she
They're
leaves-
saying that she signed with Stewart-Haas Racing through 2015, but there are indications she's still going to be returning in 2016. So she is going to need some kind of sponsorship anyway.
Well, at least we wouldn't have to hear DW praise her in the booth.
Maybe. I know what sponsor could hook up with her. Coca-Cola.
Yeah. Hey, Coca-Cola. How long has it been since Coca-Cola was like a primary sponsor on a car?
Since
I've
the
never
Coke
ever
Zero,
seen Coke.
since Coke Zero 400, Coke 600, not 600, 400.
Oh,
long
the
time.
Coke 600, the Coke Zero car of Kyle Petty. Yeah.
No,
Any
no,
booster.
just that. Also the 400 too. Remember the race that Jeff Gordon won, the Pepsi 400.
No, Bobby Labonte ran an 09 Coke Zero car in the 2010 race when the Hawks of the Field died at Daytona.
That's right. I forgot about
Oh,
that. Yeah.
I almost forgot that too. Whoops.
And by the way, Kyle Larson
Go on.
signed to Ganassi. He signed with them till 2017. So.
There goes that.
But then again, we thought David Reagan was signed to Front Row Motorsports, and now he's going to be going over with
MW.
MWR. So I mean,
Yeah.
it
Kansas.
doesn't necessarily mean. I guess it doesn't necessarily mean that the contract is ironclad. It probably could be opted out of if teams arrive at a mutual agreement. But still.
Yeah, and speaking of David Reagan, you mentioned earlier how he will be going to Michael Waltrip Racing, and I feel like to me that is pretty much Michael Waltrip's way of being like good Brian Vickers right here,
Yeah.
which to me
Nah.
kind of makes me makes me sad.
It makes me sad too, but in all honesty, they do have to kind of plan for the long term, and the long term doesn't really have Vickers in it. I mean, I really want to see Vickers back, but he came back and then he had the blood clot problem again. It's kind of just sketchy, his health problems in racing, and I don't want anything to happen to Vickers in a race car, obviously. So, I mean, Waltrip, I don't think he's necessarily saying goodbye to Vickers, but he does, as an owner, he does have to have like a plan B for that 55 car, because Brett Moffitt can't keep running it week after week just to fill in until Vickers gets back.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And
So another
and
topic. Go ahead, sorry. I can finish going on.
I'm not trying to like change topics like drastically right here, but I kind of feel the same way for like Eric Jones driving for like the 18, which that will start at Kansas. And there's, even though I don't think it's been confirmed yet, but there have been like some like people just like saying how Eric Jones will be in the 18 car until Kyle returns. And I feel like that for those who think that Kyle Busch will be staying out the rest of the season or should stay out the rest of the season, and I think to me it's just it's kind of not, I just can't really imagine Eric Jones being in that car for the rest of the year. I think at some point Kyle will come back.
Well, Kyle needs one more surgery, and it's going to be really hard to make the top 30 after you miss like 18 races. So why not just sit out a year and just get yourself fully healthy and come back stronger?
I agree. I agree. I mean, you know, well, I guess like when you think about it, they are going to maybe need like the last 10 races of the season. I mean, Kyle Busch, I don't think is going to have a ghost of a chance of making the chase. I agree with you on that, but they do have to kind of rehabilitate him in a race car to get him ready for 2016. So I mean, like have him run the last 10 races of the season and everything, see how he does, so that way he can get back into his groove and then be ready for 2016.
But I just feel like to me, I just can't really imagine Eric Jones being in that car for the rest of the season, because the thing is, Eric Jones, like when it was first announced that Kyle Busch would not be in that car, and then it was announced that Eric Jones would run even more Xfinity Series races, and now that he's going Cup Series races now he'll be in the Cup Series for multiple races now. I just think that to me, for him to run the rest of the Cup Series schedule, I think that would be almost like too much for him, especially since originally, before this year happened, he was scheduled to run the full-time Truck Series and then maybe like 15 Xfinity Series races.
Right.
What I do hope happens is that if Kyle's out past Sonoma, they put Boris in the 18 at Sonoma, and I think he can win that race. Then.
All right, Boris said.
Yeah, put him in Sonoma. I think if you put him in the 18 car Sonoma, I think he has a good chance of winning, because that would be the best equipment anybody ever put him in the Cup Series.
Yeah, you're right, because he's always been in these like single car underfunded teams for the road courses. So I think you're right. If he was in the 18, he would probably be up there. The only thing I've seen about Boris said though is even in the underfunded cars, he's able to get himself up there close to the front. But he always seems to, for some reason, kind of choke near the end of the race. There's always something that seems to happen to him where he messes something up or something. I don't know why, but
he did that one race in 2015, in 2010.
He won at Montreal in the nationwide car.
Yes,
Most
2010.
don't realize is he actually won a truck race in 1998 at Watkins Glen.
Yep. And he won one at Montreal nationwide. So he's overdue. He did have a pole at Sonoma.
Yeah,
In
he
the
almost
01 car? In the 01 car, I believe.
and he almost won the 2006 Daytona Cup Series on here.
Yeah, he almost won the Daytona race too.
Yeah, I think he started on the pole, and then he was, I forget, it wasn't a green light checkered restart. It was like with like 5 laps to go, and he was the leader with 5 laps to go on a restart, but then got passed by Tony Stewart. And speaking of Boris said, he's making a very special and rare appearance at Talladega in the Xfinity Series today.
Yep.
Driving in the 54.
nice.
He might have to win that too.
I mean, that's good equipment. I think he probably could.
Well, the one thing about it, he'd be running more ovals, not just road courses, more ovals too. Yeah, I remember he also running Kentucky too, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, the only thing I don't get is why he's running the oval track. That's what.
I don't remember him running in that Kentucky race.
I don't either.
No, let me double check right now though. Let me check.
I know he's running oval races for them this year, but I just don't get why.
He's doing 9. He's doing more races than almost everybody, I think.
But this race at Talladega is not going to be his only race. I think he might run like the road course races, and that might just be it.
He's doing road course races. He did more Mid Ohio, not Watkins Glen. Shocker. What else he's running? Let me double check on his the drivers update.
Yeah, he's
doing more than one race, that's for sure.
Yeah, he's running the road courses in Mount Ohio and Road America.
Yeah, okay, Road America, that's right on that.
And he's running Iowa, Chicagoland, I think Kentucky too.
I also have like other news if anyone wants to hear it.
Okay.
Yep.
I think this was yesterday that actually defending series champion, and this kind of maybe isn't the most original news headline, but I think it's kind of worth mentioning that Kevin Harvick was actually, while doing press yesterday, he was actually one of the questions he was asked was about the declining attendance and what do you think NASCAR can do to maybe like regrow its fan base that it maybe had like 10, 15 years ago, and number one on Harvick's list was to make changes to the schedule.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
And he actually called like the current Sprint Cup Series schedule like the weak link of NASCAR. That he thinks it is like the biggest issue NASCAR has, which I kind of agree and disagree. But he talked about of how like he thinks of how there should be like less tracks that host 2 races and have more tracks that host 1 race, and go to tracks like Iowa or Laguna Seca, or just tracks like these like more short tracks and more road course races, because he thinks that what NASCAR fans want is more uniqueness, and these are somewhat unique racetracks.
Right. He was also talking about Montreal, I believe, and also the Milwaukee Mile. I mean, Montreal. I mean, we know for certain that there's great Xfinity racing at Montreal. I honestly think. In all honesty, I think that Montreal would be a better road course track for them to go to than Sonoma.
Yeah.
I mean, Sonoma's okay, but I mean, I don't know. It gets really, really spread out more there than it does, at Watkins Glen. Sonoma is, to me, not as much of a good road course as the Glen is. And Montreal, I honestly think Montreal would be a good race for the Sprint Cup drivers.
It would give them a chance to go international, which hasn't happened since 1998 Sprint Cup Series.
Good point.
Also found this out too. Breaking news. Remember Jeff Gordon designed I think it was Canada Motor Speedway?
Yeah, Canadian Motor Speedway.
Oh yeah.
It's a go. He's building very, very soon, so he might be soon before the Sprint Cup might be over there.
Wow.
It's a pass as of early this week.
Yeah, I first heard about the speedway maybe a year or two ago, and I got very excited because I feel like that not only is like a short track, it's also like a road course, and there's a lot more.
Actually, it's not that might also be a mile and a half, not a short. It might be a mile and a half.
Like honestly, the schedule is. I mean, you really want to see 2 Michigan races, 2 Pocono races, and 2 Texas races? Not really.
No.
And the schedule's not really that great.
I'm in agreement with you on the Texas race. I feel like when it comes to Pocono and Michigan, I'm just going to wait until the surface gets more worn out, and then we'll see where Michigan and Pocono are currently at.
Michigan and Pocono have never been exciting race. No offense. They've had a few, but not many.
Michigan, the only reason that Michigan has had exciting races is if it comes down to a fuel mileage finish, but there have been very few of those.
Oh, yeah. Well, what was a good one? The last good Pocono race I can remember was probably 2012 and 2000 when Jerry Mayfield and Earnhardt and Logano and Mark Martin.
Yeah, you don't get very many really exciting finishes at Pocono.
Yep. Oh yeah, Bob Boris said schedule. He's running Talladega, 2 Iowa races, Mid-Ohio, Road America, and September Kentucky race.
I don't know why he's running Iowa and Kentucky. You can give that to somebody else, not an oval guy.
Yeah.
Well, because it's standalone races. That's why.
Yeah. Well, you could have gave that I don't know, Drew Herring or something like that. He's still around.
Yeah, I was like Boris said, running 2 Iowa races and a Kentucky race. What? Man, he needs more oval experience, so I'm okay with that.
Well, he did run a bunch of oval races for Gillette Everham in the 9 car back in the day.
And he did pretty good. Actually, did okay, actually.
He did.
Like I said, it's been a while since on the oval. He needs more experience on it. And you got to remember, Gibbs' car is stronger than Gillette Racing back then. So.
Oh, yeah, they were.
They would.
So before we end off this episode, let's touch on a topic that has definitely been a topic of controversy on Facebook anyway, and that is a lot of things going on as far as the SpongeBob SquarePants 400 at Kansas, and they've actually unveiled 4 cars that are going to be running in the Sprint Cup Series, 1 car that's going to be running in the Xfinity Series in Bubba Wallace, and I think they also have a truck that's actually being, I don't remember who it is that's driving the truck. But
Ben Kennedy.
Who is it?
Ben Kennedy.
Oh, Ben Kennedy. Okay, yeah, and then for the Sprint Cup, they've got David Reagan's 55, Casey Mears 13, Michael McDowell's 95, and Greg Biffle's 16, which according to J-Ski was an all-star lineup. I don't know how they came up with that, but anyway, I mean, there's been a lot of controversy about this. What's your guys' opinions?
Hey,
Why is this so controversial?
Okay.
that's all I was say. It's for the kids.
Yeah.
Listen, I don't mean to sound bad, but I think it's a bunch of kiss asses trying to get some money.
Bingo.
You know?
I think well the thing is the new SpongeBob movie is coming out in theaters sometime around like the Kansas race, and I kind of feel like that to me. I think one of the reasons why NASCAR might have made this decision was to kind of maybe appeal and kind of like grow like a younger fan base maybe.
That's possible, yeah.
But the thing is, the spin of paint scheme is nothing new. Like for example, like 10 years ago when Jimmy Johnson ran an Xfinity Series race at Richmond, he was, or it might have been a Cup race. He was driving in a SpongeBob car for that movie. Like, and you can actually look it up, like Jimmy Johnson, SpongeBob, and you'll find paint schemes.
Well, yeah, I mean, for heaven's sakes, look at Wally Dallenbach, look at Lake Speed. They drove Cartoon Network cars for quite a bit, so I mean...
Well, that was cool. But you're not seeing like 10 teams running almost the same paint scheme.
Yeah. But I mean, in all honesty, I don't mind the fact that they've got the schemes and everything. I mean, what was it? It was, when they had Kansas in 2000, I think it was 2004. Was it Nemechek winning the Kansas race in 2004?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, they had that whole Wizard of Oz thing. They had Brendan Gaughan and Jeff Gordon, and I'm trying to remember who the other ones were. There were a couple of others where they had the Wizard of Oz characters on there and everything. I mean, Kansas, it's not like they haven't done something like this before. So I honestly don't have a problem with that, but people are like, wow, why are they doing all this? Why are they painting the wall that sponge yellow and everything? I mean, why not? Why not make a special event? It doesn't make sense to me why people are getting upset about this.
They're not upset. It's just a bunch of. You really want? We are. What is this? 2015. We were running a 2015 Spring Cup Series with a bunch of kids' cars. It sound like that, but.
Well, you gotta appeal to each generation and everything if you're gonna, make a sport a success.
You do, but we kind of have evolved since that time period.
Yeah, well, it's probably going to be a topic of controversy all the way up to Kansas and probably during the Kansas race too. But in all honesty, I don't have any problem with it.
Oh well.
Yeah, I'm fine with it.
I just kind of feel like to me, like I think anytime there's like change, there's going to be a certain amount of people who just don't like change.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah.
Yeah, one thing that you learn is that you can never please everybody.
That's true.
Just can't happen. So we got any other topics to hit on before we end off this week's episode?
Well,
I'm trying out.
So what's your guys' opinion on Reagan driving the 55?
Weird.
It is weird. I did not see this happening in all
I
honesty.
didn't know it was coming, to be honest with you,
No.
either. I was like,
I don't know. I expected him to return to the 34, but I think to me, Michael Waltrip Racing, I think is still just a better, like better choice than Front Row Motorsports in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like I said, the 18 team is probably the best ride that David Reagan's had, even including Roush. I don't think he had the best equipment over at Roush, but I think the 18 is the best equipment he had. But if you think about him either going back to the 34 or going to the 55, he's got a better chance of keeping consistent finishes going in the 55.
Yeah.
And I feel like it could give a chance for Michael Waltrip Racing to rebuild because Reagan will not only come over there with like experience with Front Row, but he'll come over there with like, experience from Joe Gibbs, which also drives Toyotas. So maybe possibly Reagan could help the team maybe start rebuilding from the team I think they once were in like 2012.
And I might be wrong, but it seems like I heard them say, and maybe I was just hearing things, but don't Michael Waltrip Racing and Joe Gibbs Racing have some kind of alliance in some way between the two Toyota teams?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, there's like some, I don't remember what exactly it is they said was the...
engine's the same. The engine's definitely the same.
Yeah. I knew that there was some kind of alliance. So, it's not like David Reagan is going from one ride to something completely foreign. He'll have at least still a Toyota. He'll have somewhat similar equipment, I guess. So...
Yeah.
It won't. In other words, there won't be a long period of adjustment. I don't think.
But how do you think front row feels that their main driver dissed them pretty much?
I'm wondering about that too. David Reagan, David Gillen, they were a good team whenever they'd go to the restrictor plate tracks and everything, and not taking anything away from Chris Buescher. He was really good in the 34 at Daytona. So
But I do see, I do see Moffitt finishing out the season in the 34 car, though.
Yeah, because Chris Bush needs to be focused on his next nationwide, not nationwide.
Right.
Lost a coin. Xfinity. Yep, I lost $1 there. Um, Xfinity championship. So that's his main focus right now. So he should be focused on that more than his Sprint Cup ride.
Yeah.
And I feel like Chris Buescher actually has a pretty realistic shot to actually win that championship.
Yeah.
Because I think he's like second in points, I believe, and
No.
he's been
Third.
okay.
Ty
third.
Dillon's first. Chase Elliott's second by 8 points back. Bush is not that far behind in third, and his teammate Bubbles in fourth.
But he's been pretty consistent, and something makes me think that if he can stay in the Xfinity series for like maybe like a couple more years, and if Roush is still a team, he could maybe
Still a team, I like that.
he could possibly revive Roush's Sprint Cup Series team or help Roush get better.
Yeah, that's a possibility. I mean,
Yeah,
I think Buescher and Bubba Wallace, if there were two drivers that really could revive Roush, those would probably be the two.
Also two.
Yeah.
Actually, I might even put Ryan Reed in the mix.
Yeah, I agree with you. Reed as well.
Ryan Reed did win the 500, not the 500. I lost another $1 there. The Daytona race for the Trinity race. So
I mean, is it bad if you think that if you brought those three up to Sprint Cup Series, they'd be able to actually beat Trevor Bayne and the other and Stenhouse? I mean, in all honesty, I think if you took those three, brought them up to the Sprint Cup Series, and then sent the current Roush Fenway guys down to Xfinity, I think you'd get better results. In all honesty,
I actually might agree with you. Trevor Bayne rushed in too early.
Yeah, he did.
That's why he hasn't been successful since the 500 when he had.
He won the 500, and they're like, "Oh wow, this guy is really good." You know, let's get it.
Two-car tandem. Everybody keep forgetting he won the 500 because of two-car tandems.
Exactly, two-car tandems, and who was it? Was it David Gilliland that pushed him to the?
It was
Bobby Labonte.
Bobby Labonte, that's right.
No.
Gilliland was pushing Edwards. That's right.
Bobby Labonte lost the draft. It was
Labonte was pushing Bayne on the back straightaway, and then here comes Edwards and
Gilliland.
Edwards.
And then those two split up Bobby Labonte and Trevor Bayne. But the thing is, Bobby Labonte was pushed up to the high side. Bayne stayed on the bottom.
Yep.
Had to block Carl Edwards.
But to me, when Bayne stayed on the bottom and blocked them, it broke their momentum, which is why they couldn't make a move to the high side.
Right. Well, they had Labonte still on the high side, and Bayne through the block, so Edwards was kind of boxed in. But
yeah.
I mean, yeah, I agree. I think they rushed Trevor Bayne too quickly as well. So.
Yeah, and hate to break bad news. Ricky Stenhouse is definitely not ready for Cup.
He's ready for Cup at certain tracks. He's good at Bristol. He's good at Bristol. There's a couple other tracks that he's actually good at, but for a full-time ride, he's not ready.
Well, when you're running subpar equipment, it doesn't really help either.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, I don't know, because look at Trevor Bayne last season and look at Bubba Wallace now. Bubba Wallace has been more consistent in exactly the same car that Trevor Bayne did like this point this season. And not only that, Elliott has run better this season than I thought he would have been in Gibbs.
Yeah.
And that's coming from the guy who was Elliott Sadler from RCR in the I say nationwide at the time, to Gibbs in nationwide, and now Xfinity in the Roush. Roush is doing pretty good. Damn it, lost another $1 from saying nationwide.
Man, that Dylan Pote Squeaky Chair Foundation is gonna be rich.
Yeah, he'd be rich right now. He'd be rich. There you go, Dylan. Here's my $5. Here you go, have it. Well, yeah, Roush is doing pretty good this season. A lot more better than I thought. Well, because of course, Wallace, Reed, and Buescher.
Yeah, they're like the hope right now for the revival of Roush.
That's the only shot they have left. So
honestly, I don't think what's the guy's name? Ryan Reed's gonna do much in his career. I mean, no offense. The only reason why he really got the ride to Roush is because he got diabetes.
Type 1, yeah.
That's really the only reason why.
Yeah, isn't Jamie Dick supposed to be coming back at some point too?
Not for a while.
No.
He also got diabetes. Did he say he got diabetes diagnosed too or no?
Yeah, he's diagnosed with diabetes as well. Yeah.
Yeah, recently. So we don't know when he's coming back at the moment.
Well, that gives Jeffrey Earnhardt more of an opportunity. That guy Brendan Godolphin in the 55.
Hey, I'll tell you what, Jeffrey Earnhardt, that's a guy that actually ran well at Daytona too, and I mean, F55 could be one to contend with in the Xfinity race.
Could be.
Yeah.
We'll see. All right, so I guess that's going to end off this week's episode of NASCAR Talk. I want to thank Charles Belding, Benjamin Miles. Michael Norman's not here. He had to go, but thank him for joining. And then Stephen Pollard III as well. Guys, thanks for joining me. I know we're all looking forward to the Xfinity race today. I don't know if this video will be uploaded before then or not, but if not, hope everybody else enjoys it. And, of course, the Sprint Cup race tomorrow.
Yay! Go, Jeff!
I'm actually going to my aunt and uncle's tomorrow to actually watch Talladega live because they're like the restricted play tracks are the only ones that I like to actually really watch in live.
And I can't wait to go. And I can't wait to go back to bed.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know, Charles lives on the West Coast and he basically gets up like 6 o'clock every Saturday to join us for these.
I woke up at like 5:17 in the morning here on the West Coast just to attend this.
Oh my goodness!
Wow. You're a trooper. Round of applause.
Yeah, go back to bed, get some sleep.
Real.
All right.
And what makes it worse is that what made it worse is that I went to bed at like 11 p.m. on the West Coast last night, which means 2 a.m. on the East Coast.
And Bobby Hart's on the apron.
Oh. All right, so if you guys want to join us for the upcoming NASCAR talks, you're more than welcome to. We end up having them here on Skype. I try and schedule them now more on Saturday mornings than anything, so that way people are able to make them. To be able to find out what time they're going to be hosted, be sure to check out the NSRA Enter 2003 Series Facebook group page. That's where I post when the times are going to be and everything. And if you don't get to join us for a specific week, well, we have them every week here if there's a race going on, so you can be able to tune in. We also sometimes have random race reaction videos and stuff as well for NASCAR Talk, and you're able to join us for that as well. So I post all that stuff on the Facebook group if you guys want to join us for that. Also, be sure to check out these guys' channels that joined me here today. The links to their channels are going to be down in the description. So once again, guys, thanks for joining me here today for this week's NASCAR Talk.
See y'all guys later.
All right, bye, everybody.
Bye.